It always comes to this. More nice shit. Back again to do another tattoo progress update today. Where I last left off, I showed off the left armpit. Believe it or not, 15th session on my left armpit. This one's been done 13 times. This one's fully healed from last week. And I do mean fully healed, like there's nothing going on in here. For the people who think these things take a long time to heal, no, that's not a thing. There's been no flaking for this for like the last 5 days already. And there hasn't been pain in there for even longer. So this one is just about ready to start peeling. It's still a little bit sore to bend. It's a bit bigger than the other one, but overall it's coming along. It's been just under 2 days, and there's some signs showing up already that it's going to start peeling. And I just know my body really well. I know kind of what to look for. It starts getting a little bit like dry, crispy around the edges. That's usually before the flaky peeling stuff starts to happen. So, but very, very easy heal. Once again, guys, armpits are a very easy heal, and it's going to stay super bright. I find most of the mixing happens over the first couple days with the old and new work that you're putting in. And then kind of whatever you see is sort of what you get for the most part from that point on. Obviously things dull down over the months and years, but the overall what you're left with is more or less what you've got after that first week or so. So again, this one is third pass. This one was second pass color, so this one is darker in the color. And Terry wants another go at the tongue on this one. So when we do the tongue on this one, there's a couple little teeth that we missed from the session here, and we'll do them both at the same time. Probably do that. Maybe we'll do that the same day that I get this eye on my shoulder here worked on again. I'd like to do a third pass on the red and white, and maybe buff up some of the black a little bit. It's a little bit duller than it was, but I preface with all color on black projects, you should bank on, doing 2 at the minimum and usually 3 passes. Nothing on me really has more than 3 passes. There's some stuff I've changed after 3 passes, God knows, but for the most part, everything is capping off around 3 passes from what I can see. I think that you can get into some insane numbers of sessions on things, and I think once you get to a certain level of saturation, you start to get diminishing returns, as far as a color can only be so bright at all. For example, if we were to run the red over this spot here again, it's well, that's already pretty fucking bright, right? That nebula red is already pretty bright. I don't really think that it's going to get much brighter than that. Same thing with my face. I think we could maybe get this a shade brighter just because it's a first pass nebula over 3 passes of red velvet. But that would be a case of just kind of lifting more of the red velvet out of it and replacing it with more nebula red. Anyway, I'm not going to get too much into that. That's a whole other thing. So yeah. And believe it or not, I have a tattoo session coming up in 2 days, theoretically, with Rick. So, getting tattooed all over the place. I've been a busy boy this year. And which leads me nicely into my next point. I finally had a session on my leg tattoos, which people have, for whatever reason, just assumed I have none of. Because, can you imagine how absurd it would be if I had no leg tattoos? Anyway, I haven't worked on my legs in 5 years, so they haven't had a whole lot of exhibition. They haven't had a whole lot of show and tell because there's not a whole lot to say about them. They were fully covered, then I blacked them both out. And I don't want to make a whole bunch of fucking mess down there until I can get after it, right? So as projects are starting to wind to a close, for the most part, obviously I still have a lot to do on my torso, but in my thinking, it's when I think I've got maybe 5 to 10 sessions left to go on my torso for the overall reworking. That's a good time for me to be considering doing my legs. Now, one of the artists at the shop here had a terrible week. She had cancellation after cancellation after cancellation, just the worst excuses you've ever heard, by far, and no one wanted to come. And it seemed like the more people we tried to get to take the spots, the more appointments she lost. So this was always something we were planning on doing. It is not spur of the moment for the people who were like, where'd that idea come from? No, we were planning on doing this I was talking to her about this almost around the time she got started tattooing. Ashlyn is a black and gray realism artist, and she's not as talented at tattooing yet as or skilled as Terry or Rick, but she has an eye for portraits, and you can't really train an eye so much. You'll see a lot of realism artists where the portrait doesn't look quite right, and it's like she does a lot of portraits. She's drawn portraits her whole life and stuff. So there was a horror portrait that I never got on my first leg sleeve that I always wanted, but I had no space for, was Nosferatu. Now, I had a Dracula in the same place. For movie buffs, and I'm not really a movie buff, but it's an interesting little tidbit, and I really like inside jokes that won't translate to especially because most people don't even know what were on my first legs. I had a Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, on my left leg. Really nice portrait done by my good friend and former artist Lee. And so I thought it would be ironic to have him replaced with Nosferatu. For movie buffs, you'll know that Dracula was the movie that was going to be made, but they couldn't get the rights to it back in the 1920s, and so they made Nosferatu instead. So I think that's a really funny little fucking thing. Now, I would have got him anyway, but the placement is exactly where I wanted, because I wanted him to take the spot of the Dracula, if only for my own little amusement, you know. I'll try and show this off. I don't know how good this is gonna go. I've been worried about trying to show my leg tattoos off for the entire time I've been doing this. I'm like, how the fuck am I gonna show off? You know, I don't know if that's doing anything. I'm not working with some crazy rig here, guys. Despite what some checked out half-wit tattooers like to assert of me, I'm working with an iPhone camera and a tripod. I've got nothing else here. So I can't really do a whole lot of movie magic for you. There'll be photo, picture, video, whatever the fuck in here while I'm doing this. But I'm telling you, this is a terrible little rig I've got. The funniest thing about doing the interviews with Lily Lou was, like, neither one of us, ironically, Lily Lou's quality of recording is nice, but for podcast or like video talk, like, neither one of us were overall set up that well, because we don't do this shit all the time. You know, I've got my phone and and I had another phone that I was talking to him on, so the whole thing was terrible. Like, it was awful, and like, this is a really lowbrow operation I'm running, and I'm fine with that. I don't really want to get a whole bunch of fucking crazy shit involved in it. I already have people, like, on my TikTok, because my videos have started going up where I have my hair black, and now I've had tattooers come in and be like, oh, you can tell he upped the contrast. His hair's brown, and look how black it is. And there isn't, in my mind, there is no excuse for that level of ignorance and stupidity. I dyed my hair black, for fuck's sake. But these are the problems that I face. Everything that I have, people are assuming is edited anyway, so I don't really want to get into any more editing or any more of a high quality filming, anything like that, because the better quality actually takes away from believability for my channel and my body of work, which is insane. But I digress. I'm not going to get into that anymore, because you can't win. Those half-wits are always going to come up with some crazy fucking excuse for denial of reality. It's like talking to a flat earther. There's just always one more. There's always one more fucking thing to compound on. Anyway, I specifically went with Ashlyn on this project. Yes, because she has an eye for portraits. She really does. She does really, really nice portrait work. In black and gray, people would think that, you know, oh my God, she's amazing. Look at that big cat. Oh my God, look at that bear. Because people are really, really impressed by realism projects for whatever reason. But her color saturation is still, it's not the best yet. She's in no way as skilled as Rick or Terry, and she would gladly admit this. She's a shop apprentice, and I am more than fine with her learning the ropes on my legs. This is what legs are for. I've been saying this forever. With that said, the white is patchier than it would be if either Rick or Terry did it, and either of them could have done this as well. I'm more trying to stress the point with this that you do not need a specific artist to do this. This is going to heal patchy, but first passes are always a little patchy anyway. We'll have to do the white a second time for sure, but that's always the plan. And she wanted to get more of the mid-tone in, but we'd already been working on it for 7 hours. That's right, 7 hours. We started at 10 o'clock, and I guess it was 5:30, so a little over 7 hours. We had some breaks and stuff. So she's not as fast as Terry or Rick, but like, it's going to be a really cool tattoo. And I'm going to stress that it was not done by Terry or Rick. It was done by a 1.5-year tattooer. And I'm not only that, I'm going to be getting more work from people who have no prior experience doing this, as I've tried to stress the point very clearly that Terry had no prior cover-up experience or white on black experience. He was an apprentice when I started working with him, and he grew as he worked on me. So what I'm trying to show the world with this, with all my legs, is that pretty much any artist can do this at any skill level. It's not a fucking divine art. I've been saying this, but I feel like people aren't paying attention. They think that they need to, you know, find some fucking wizard with a wand or something, and he's gonna magic it on your leg, and it's only gonna take one session or some other fucking stupid thing. It doesn't work like that. Anyone that can pack color can do this, and even her, where she's still figuring out color saturation, was able to do it. The black was no problem. The opaques that she did use on the fingers and the bottom, like the hand, they went in pretty smooth. She was having a hard time packing white in his face. That's where we went. We did the first couple hours on the hand, and then the face was the rest of the day. And she really lost pace on the face, but I think she was having some imposter syndrome, and I kind of had to talk her through most of it. But for one thing, when she asked Terry for help, he told her, just listen to Jared, you'll be fine. Which is funny, because he literally said, that's how I learned to do this. So, and I learned it from working with Rick. So it's once you have a foundation of knowledge and understand the overall plot line of this, I want everyone in this shop doing these projects, and all of the girls, all of the apprentices, and even now I've got there's a male apprentice at the shop now. Everyone that works here is going to be able to do this, and we have a lot of demand for it now. And all of these people are going to tattoo me, and they're all going to work. And it's going to hopefully dispel the myth that this is not doable by just anyone. Because that's one of the most egregious lies now. Like, now I've gotten to a place with it where it's like, yeah, that's great. You got a good guy, though. You can't do that with just anyone. Oh, yes, you can, motherfucker. And the guys that I'm doing it with already are just anyone. These were guys that have never done this before and just gave it a shot. It was literally that simple. So that's the point I want to drive home with this. My legs are going to be, you know, small, medium to large scale. They're not going to be this big continuous connective project like my torso, maybe until the end anyway. There's going to be a red background around Nosferatu, and I'm going to kind of build that red background out around everything else so that there's some connective flow to it. But I've been very clear about my legs for a while now. I want to have different styles and different artists working on them, and this is just the first start. So next year I will be getting tattooed by at least 3 different people beyond Ashlyn, and I'll probably carry on with her a little more. I've got one leg tattoo planned with Rick. I've got an idea for one with Terry already. With the ideas I have that haven't been executed yet, I already pretty well have full leg sleeves in mind, and as I mentioned to you guys about my armpit tattoos last week, once I know what's going to happen, it's just a matter of time. It's not like, oh, well, maybe it won't, or maybe it won't work. No, it will work exactly as I say it will work, and that's that. It's not an argument. But it is interesting to see how far Terry's come, is what I was thinking when I was watching Ashlyn put the white in. She was struggling with the white and kind of wondering if she was overworking me. And Terry used to have those concerns, and it used to be more of a struggle when he put white in over black. And now whenever he puts anything over black, it's less of an argument. It's less like he's having a discussion with the pre-existing ink, and it's more like it just does exactly what he tells it to. There's no struggle. Whereas Ashlyn is still very much struggling to put it in, which means working the skin harder, which should mean for a worse heal and a patchier result. All of these things are expected results for me, and I will of course be showing you guys how this goes. But with that said, I already have 2 more appointments booked with her, so the first initial pass is not the final result. It never should be thought of to be in this. I've been very fucking clear. So, if anybody says anything to the degree of, well, that didn't heal very well, yeah, that's okay. First passes are just laying the groundwork. I don't know how many times I've said this, but I'm sure that that's going to happen, and there's no amount of precursor that can prevent stupid comments from impatient people. But trust the process. This is going to be one of my favorite tattoos, I think, and maybe including all of my tattoo suits. I really like the layout we have, and Ashlyn's got a great eye, and you can train the technical, but the artistic part of that, it's different for everyone, right? Like Terry would have done this piece completely different, and same as Rick, and that's why I wanted Ashlyn to do it, and I think she's more than capable of this level of work, and sometimes you just need the push to get there, and this is going to improve her color saturation and shading in every other tattoo she does working on this project with me, the same way that it did for Terry. When Terry and I started working together, he was put into so many hard, uncomfortable positions of like, I've never done this before, and that's where you find growth. When you stay in the comfort zone forever, you never grow at all. And same thing for me, like I've learned so much about so many things, even just having this done, that it's like, it was very easy for me to talk her through exactly how it needed to be done. Even in terms of like how to run her machine and her needle groupings and all of it. The only thing I wasn't able to physically help her with was take the tattoo machine and show her how while I'm getting tattooed. Everything else was like, oh no, you got to do it like this. You do this thing and this. Oh, okay. Like the opaque that we chose, the white that we used, the black that we use. Like I said, the needle groupings, the voltage, all of that stuff is stuff that you can just pass down. And as long as the knowledge is never lost, I feel like the technique can always be learned. Anyway, I think that just about does it. I'll be getting another session on this guy in, I think, 4 weeks. It's not going to be as regular with Ashlyn as it is with Terry or Rick. I've got 2 sessions coming up next week, so I'll be talking to you guys again soon. Have a great day.